Be'ezrat Hashem, Na'aseh v'natzliach. I'd like to welcome everybody to IRONSIDE Lunch and Learn. This is officially our second year. We did it for a full year. Chazak u'baruch, Judah. Chazak u'baruch, Ofer. Kol hakavod. We stuck with it. There were times when it was packed wall to wall. There was times when it was just me and you. We did it. Kol hakavod.
I think there was even one time it was just me.
Yeah. It was. We were able to lagdil Torah v'ladira for a full year, and we're coming back for a second one. Super excited for it. I'd like to acknowledge Rabbi Golpin's presence. Always appreciated, an honor to have you with us. And this week's parasha is Parashat Noach. It's hard for me to jump into Noach without mentioning something about Bereshit, but I'll do a quick catch-up. Just last week, Parashat Bereshit, it was the beginning of existence of the world and everything that's in it. And just a few hours after Hashem pressed play on everything, on Friday, few hours into it already, Adam HaRishon sins. Adam HaRishon gets thrown out of Gan Eden, gets put into an alternate reality, into Olam Hazeh. He has two boys, Cain and Hevel. One murders the other. Civilization begins to decline for close to 1,000 years. And then Hashem decides to press the reset button on the world. Mabul, a flood, 40 days of rain, very intense, special kind of rain. Then we're introduced to this week's parasha, Parashat Noach. One survivor, with one boat, with one family, and a whole zoo. What a difference a week makes. Even though 1,000 years have passed. But what an introduction to our story. What an introduction to the Torah. There's people that spend years just on Parashat Bereshit. And I can see why. There's so much there. Even just in the first few Pesukim. However, we see that Parashat Bereshit shoots us into Parashat Noach with a very somber story to start. Things are going bad. The state of the union is not good. Man, in God's eyes, needs to get destroyed. All of mankind. How do we get there? We just started. Not such a good start. Not such a good start in Gan Eden, and not such a good start in Olam Hazeh. The pasuk over there says in Perek Vav, pasuk Aleph, "V'tashchet ha'aretz et ha'elokim," meaning that the existence, the world, the land, the people started to go astray from the norm. Everything. The Gemara in Baba Metzia says, what was their sin? It says the Dor HaMabul chatu begezel v'chamas, and thievery and evil doings. What kind of thievery? Strange kind of thievery. Very strange if you think about it. They would go to the market with a bag, and they'd go from one kiosk to the next, from one stop to the next, and take one chickpea and one peanut and a pinch of salt. Take a little bit of everything. Would you sue somebody for one pea? Would you sue somebody for one peanut? You can't do that. What court is going to take that case? Let alone if you got thousands of cases of peanut. I'm suing him for one measly chickpea. But that was their scam. That's what they did. They were able to do that. So meanwhile, they're all gaining and robbing, and the business owners are losing. Very strange. They really try to find some sort of weird loophole in that generation. And then their evil doings. Very strange as well, but not too far from what we see today. It all went wrong. Nothing was working the way that it was supposed to. Man got a license to marry another man. Animals, birds would go with beasts. Makes no sense. Physically, how does that even happen? That's what happened over there. The land, you would put a seed for an apple tree, something else would come out. Everything was upside down. Existence wasn't playing by the rules. No one. The pasuk continues to say, "Vayomer Elokim leNoach, ketz kol basar ba lefanai." He says, "I'm wiping out all of existence. Nobody's doing teshuvah. Nobody's trying to make amends. Nobody's trying to come back. The time has come to press the reset button." All the borders have been breached. The humans, the animals, the land. And Chazal tell us there were weird hybrid beings that came to be. There was offspring from these get-togethers, from these events. Half beast, half bird. They didn't continue, they didn't have a continuation, but they lived for a certain period of time. They got wiped out during the Mabul. Hybrid foods. So you can see that Hashem created the world. On its first day, it went wrong on the perfect utopia of Gan Eden. And 1,000 years later, as everything started to snowball to negatively, he decided to start fresh. And start fresh with one human being. So let's talk about that guy. Why Noach? Why Noach? Why of all the people Noach? Why couldn't Hashem create another human being? Why couldn't he create, what was a different person? Why was he specifically chosen? Well, one of the first few Pesukim in the Parasha say, Noach ish tzaddik tamim haya b'dorotav. He was a tzaddik and he was a tamim. He was a righteous man and he was tamim. Tamim is like you can say, not naive, but like whole in his actions. Rashi says over there that he worshipped Hashem in all his ways. There's a midrash that says, why would they use the word tzaddik and tamim? He says Noach was considered an ish tzaddik, a righteous man, ki hu shamar et habrit. He was able to protect his yesod. Tamim shamar atzmo ma'avodah zara. He didn't get sucked into idol worship. Now, the word over there that was used in the end of the pasuk is bedorotav, in his generations. Why generations? You can just say in his lifetime. So it's very interesting. Chazal tells us that Noach lived for 950 years. Actually, the Torah says he lived for 950 years. And the two generations that the Torah is talking about, bedorotav, one was Dora Mabul, right? The generation of the flood. And the other one was Dora Flaga, the generation of the Tower of Babylon. That tower, there was a group of people that decided, let's build a tall tower all the way to the heavens and fight God in the heavens. That was a reality at one point on this planet. And he lived in the time of both those generations. And during that time of Dora Mabul, the sin of the people was arayot, adultery, sexual promiscuity. Said over there that the women started to show their skin. They started to go outside in public, act promiscuously, which was not the norm before. Then we saw that they had all these different things. They tried different things. They went with men. They went with animals. It was a weird time. They were really, really heavy into arayot. That was the first generation where he stayed righteous. He protected his breed. And the second generation, Dora Flaga, in the time of Babylon, he also was there and witnessed the time of Avodah Zarah. What was the Avodah Zarah? Yeah, they believed in idol worship and they had whatever gods that they believed in, but the main Avodah Zarah was that they went against God. There's a group of people that said, we want to fight the Creator. And we will build a tower and go up to the heavens and fight him. They took weaponry and all that. They were really serious about it. And because he didn't get sucked into Avodah Zarah during that time, he's considered Ish Tzaddik. So he didn't get sucked into Arayot or to Avodah Zarah, or whatever the trend of the time was. Because, each generation has a special thing that everybody gets tagged into, connected to, and they all follow it. You can see it in fashion, you can see it in music, you can also see it in ideology, you can also see certain religions even become popular at certain times. Even in the 70s, I remember there's the Moonies. There's this one Chinese guy I think he's Chinese Asian. He started a religion. And people all over the world meet together once a year to get married. And they have marriage ceremonies for the Moonies. I remember one time they rented out Madison Square Garden, I think, and over 30,000 people got married. It was a trend. Nowadays you hardly hear about it. So he didn't get sucked into that either. So because of that, we speak highly of him. Ish Tzaddik Tamim, Noach. Now Noach had those challenges. So great. You're telling me great story from several thousands of years ago about one man that survived a flood. Ironically, it was just one man. It was him, his children, all the animals, spirits, and a big giant outside of the boat. It's a great story. One time, if you get to hear it, it's a little bit more than... It's not like with the children's book. There's a lot more that made it. Even the concept of lies, truth, honesty, even concepts of sheker, for example, of lie and deceit, wanted to make it past the flood, and had to find a partner, and it did, it made it. I think last year we spoke about it. Very special boat. But how do we see Parashat Noach in today's world? Today. How does it relate to me? Well, Arayot is super easy to see in today's world. The sexual promiscuity of the planet has gone to an all-time high in the past 10 to 20 years. I got to tell you. Up until the 50s or 60s, they were still wearing pencil skirts and buttoned up till the top. Started to get a little bit loose around the edges in the 60s or 70s, but what's going on today? I don't want to say even what's going on in Miami, okay? Over here they have Mehadrim. But what's going on? The world is changing. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, if you read any books about tzniut, the rabbis say, should a carriage walk by and a woman or several women are in the carriage, turn away not to see the ayvat tzniut. A few hundred years ago, they were buttoned up to here, hats, umbrellas. You would hardly see a woman's face. And they would talk about tzniut then, in that generation. Imagine today. The arayot that they were talking about in the time of Noach, women showing skin and men going with men. Ladies and gentlemen, it's here today. It's making an encore in a big way, with court systems and documents, and it's becoming legit. Which what angered Hashem and said he couldn't stand it. He said that cannot go. That cannot be. Today, we have the generation of Babel. We do have it. We're not exactly building, there aren't any people building a building to space, trying to fight Hashem in the heavens. Because people are smart enough. They know it's not possible. But they are fighting Hashem. There is a fight against God. There's no question about that. There's a personal fight in the world between Jews and in Gentiles as well, about accepting the reign, the yoke of God in this planet. I looked up a study on Google. The number of atheists in the world has almost doubled in the past 10 years. It used to be whether you're either Jewish or Christian or Muslim. The next question would be, are you practicing or not practicing? Nowadays is, do you even believe that there's a creator? And that is gaining popularity. People are fighting God on a personal level every day. So, what should the reaction be? What should the reaction be? Another flood? Another reset on the planet? I mean, everything that we saw in the generation of Noach is that he had to wait 950 years for 2 generations to arc in his lifetime. We're noticing both symptoms of those 2 generations nowadays. It's all happening at the same time. What should Hashem do? Bring another flood? Should he wipe out the planet again and try to press the reset button again? Should Hashem wipe out the people like in the flood, or should he get rid of those people, just those specific people that are doing bad, like they did in the Tower of Babel? What happened in the Tower of Babel? Gemara in Masechet Berachot talks about it. All those people that were, what we know, that they changed the language, or the birth of 70 languages on this planet came from that event. Why Babel comes from the word bilbul. Hashem bilbel et asafot. He mixed up the languages. They would be on the 120th floor of this tower, and the guy would tell him, give me a brick. And he will tell him, Shubisawe, he started 2 different lines, he doesn't understand. This guy thinks he's cursing at him, this guy thinks he doesn't understand. They would fight, and over there they would prefer that a person drop and die. It wouldn't bother them, than lose a brick that made it that far. So Hashem created this the 70 language during that event, but at the same time he said that there's another major thing happened during that time. This is something for the evolutionists, would be very interesting, is that the elephants, the monkeys, and the owls were also creation during that time. All those people from the time of Babel got turned into monkeys, elephants, and owls. In other words, the human being didn't come from the monkey. The monkey came from the human being. As a matter of fact, there's a beracha, there's a blessing that you have to say. When you see an elephant, when you see a monkey, you have to say, Baruch Ata Hashem Meshaneh Habriot. He changed the creation. He changed the human being. A little side note, what did they say about elephants? That they can learn 70 languages. That they can understand 70 languages. Why? You think it's connected to Babel? Why do monkeys look so much like a human? Because they come from humans. Look how the whole world has it backwards. That's what happened over there. So should Hashem do that? Should Hashem take all the people that are sinning and turn them into another animal so they can be recognized for the sins that they did? Well, obviously it's not happening. Obviously that's not happening. So what do we see? That Hashem is actually restraining himself. Hashem is holding himself back during this generation. And thank God. I mean, every once in a while we see the wrath of God. A hurricane here, an earthquake there, a tsunami. You know, we know how they start. But Hashem holding himself back while the entire planet is turning into Gezer v'Chamas, into Arayot, and to this anarchy against the Creator with atheism on a high.
I think that's our biggest challenge.
We do. That's a good point. And Hashem is doing this self-restraint on himself. The Creator is restraining himself, waiting for Teshuvah. Just like he was waiting for Noach to make Teshuvah. He gave him 120 years. And then after 120 years, he says, I'll give you 7 more days. Mourn the death, I believe it was Methuselah. And he says, maybe if you mourn, your heart will start to feel, the flood is coming. It's starting to rain. Do Teshuvah. They didn't. They were very brazen. We can learn from the door of Noach that Hashem wants us to do Teshuvah. He gave him the time. He's giving us the time. We see the signs. He wants us to do Teshuvah. And this is the time of Ba'alei Teshuvah. If you see around the world, it's happening. It's happening right now. All over the world, people are coming back to Hashem on a wholesale level. Large numbers. But there's still a lot more that need to come back. So the time is, it's time to get saved. It's time to get on the new Tevat Noach. The new Tevat Noach is a new ark A new boat that says on it, instead of Noah's Ark, it says on it Teshuvah Ark. Do Teshuvah, get on that boat, you'll be saved. Don't do Teshuvah, you're going to be that guy scratching on the side of the wood of the boat. Save me with sulfur water, sulfur rain raining over you. The Ark of Teshuvah, that's where we're headed. That's what's left to this generation. It's not a physical one made out of wood. It's an invisible, spiritual way to get saved. We're in the generation of Noach today. The only thing that can save us is Noach boat today, is the Ark of Teshuvah. That Hashem, that we should all merit to have real Teshuvah, Teshuvah Shelema, and that all Am Yisrael will get saved. No soldier left behind. Shabbat Shalom and Mevorach.